Hey, do you know what time it is? That's right. It's time for Coach Lindy's podcast. The podcast to get you moving. Hi, I'm Lindy Hutchinson, a certified life mastery consultant with the Brave Thinking Institute. As a life coach, I help others transform their life as I have mine. It's not easy, but it is possible, and it most certainly is worth it. Each week, I'll share insights that inform, inspire, and ignite in you your desire to create a life that you love. So let's find out what's going on this week. Greetings. So what would you do if you received an amazing gift, but it was anonymous? Wouldn't you want to find out who gave it to you? Well, that's kind of where we're at today. This is the first part of our series of the women and men who made women's rights, equal pay, the right to vote, and a very long list of things that we have and use every day today possible. The number one name that came to me is one I'm sure you're familiar with and you probably learned about in school, as did I, Susan B. Anthony. And Susan B. was quite an amazing person, and I think you'll enjoy hearing about her, and we will cover next episode her best buddy, and the two were fearsome and fun together. So Susan B., for those who are watching the video, this is probably what you remember seeing. Her parents were Quakers, and so modest dress. I guess women typically wore gray, and their hair was neatly styled back into a bun. She was born in February 1820, so for the times and for her religion, this was normal. Most of her home was considered Rochester, New York, although she was born in Massachusetts. She was blessed to be in a very loving family, even though her dad and mom were deeply religious. I didn't know this about the Quakers, but men and women were considered equal. So she was raised in an environment, she was the second of 7 kids, so her 6 brothers and sisters. They all were treated very well. They had certain guidelines to follow, but it was a very loving family. Susan would never get married, and she never had children of her own. And of course, there's a lot of jokes about her picture. This is not a flattering picture. I am not an authority on photography, but I do know that in early times, it took a very long time for the image to be captured. And so the subject in front of the camera had to sit very, very, very still for several minutes before it locked in the image. And so you learned by the photographer, unlike today, the digital that we have, that you had to hold still. So you need to get in a position that you could hold. And then too, she ended up at a very early age speaking out and being very unpopular. So I'm sure she also wanted to come across very serious about her endeavor, since at that time in the 1800s, women were supposed to be basically barefoot and pregnant. There were some people who showed respect to women, but unfortunately that was fairly limited. She also had a keen sense of right and wrong. She was concerned about other people. And so she became involved as an abolitionist, and apparently in her 20s, her parents held regular meetings to help free slaves and run as partners in the Underground Railroad. And there are many tributes to Susan B. Anthony throughout the Black community, throughout history and currently. So I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how extensive she was. She also was into temperance, which is also anti-alcohol. They didn't have the programs that we have today. the Alcoholics Anonymous and different ways of handling these problems. So with her, it was nothing. So anyway, she was a woman of great principle, and she actually was known for being very warm and friendly. So don't go by her picture. It's deceiving. It's a lot of what she did to be taken seriously and the outfit at the time. Now, in 1848, she was working as a teacher, and she was in her early 20s, and she discovered that she was being paid 1/4 of the teacher who preceded her, who happened to be a man. So this lit a fire in her to start changing things. She ended up growing more and more involved in her enthusiasm and fire in reaching out for equality. And a lot of that overlapped into anti-slavery. So she was very involved in equal pay, equal rights, votes for everybody, not just women. And in 1872, she very famously was arrested for voting. And she ended up going into the Supreme Court, and she lost. But as one commentator said, she got a great deal of attention, and that put her in the national news, probably international news even then. So we can see that Susan spoke out. She did like children and she did like men, but her life took turns where she began to realize that she needed to speak up and speak out in helping other people raise their voice, raise their vote, and elevate their lifestyle so they too could have what other people enjoyed, which was a vote, a voice, opportunity. And the next episode will cover her best buddy, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and they apparently were quite a hoot together. They met when they were 31, but they ended up spending the rest of their lives working together to help establish the rights of women. They had meetings, had luncheons, they went to all kinds of events where they spoke up. These women had things thrown at them. They were called terrible, horrible things. And then especially with Susan B. Anthony, who never married, and then she was quite serious in nature. She took a lot of horrible insults, and at one time, her body in effigy was burnt. So there was times that she had to have police escorts. So her speaking the truth about equality was not possible and not a casual thing. It was a very dangerous thing. And she did it fearlessly because she believed in her message. So this power word of the week is single. Susan B. was single in vision and in purpose, and she helped, billions of people. What she established through her work, her followers, and what she did to help lead this mission has benefited us all over and over again. So you and I received a very wonderful gift by Susan B. Anthony. Thank you, Susan. So next week, we're going to talk about Elizabeth, her buddy. And they were quite comical to see because Susan B. was tall, thin, single, and Miss Elizabeth was shorter, filled out, and had 7 kids and a husband. So they were quite the pair, but as happens so often with the yin and the yang, you have someone who balances the other one, and together they're pretty amazing. So, according to Dusty Slay, comedian, he said that he used to work at a home improvement center, and people would come up in great earnest and say, "Hey, do you have something that kills all the bugs but is good for the environment?" And he'd say, "Have you tried your shoe?" So anyway, looking forward to seeing you again next week, and we're going to talk about Elizabeth and how the fearsome twosome started with the rights for women, and they didn't stop deep into their older age. We'll see you next week. Hey, thanks for joining me this week. I look forward to being with you every week. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, please email me at coachlindy@lindyhutchinson.com. My name is spelled L-Y-N-D-I, so it's Coach Lindy, L-Y-N-D-I, at Lindy Hutchinson, LYNDIHUTCHINSON.com. I value what your input is, and I'm always open for suggestions and ideas. If you will like and or subscribe to this podcast, that would be wonderful. I appreciate it. And I enjoy anything that you might want to send in, or if you would like some more information about coaching, send me an email and I will get back with you, and we'll talk about how you can create your best life. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.